guys, welcome back to my channel, Faith Family Finance. In today's video we are going to be talking about debt, the D word. Yes, I said it. Debt is one of those things we do not talk about as much as we need to talk about, right? We'll talk about the savings, we'll talk about the credit, we'll talk about income, all these things, and we skip that. Why do we skip the D word? So in this video, I'm going to be talking about my debt story, a little bit more about my debt story and debt accomplishment that we have done individually and as a family, and our debt future plan, right? Because we want to live a debt-free life. We desire to live a debt-free life. We do not want to owe anyone. So our lifestyle that we're creating, our goals and our plans and our aspiration consists of having to be able to go when we want to, right? So if we need to leave America like tomorrow, we're trying to go. We don't want to be worried about having to pay anyone, not the student loan people, not the credit card people, not the car people, nobody. So we are desiring living a debt-free life because it is oftentimes we just don't talk about that, right? Debt is just so scary. Like, who wants to say I owe someone? Who wants to say I have this thing attached to my name, right? I would rather talk about the income or the amount of money I have or the wealth, right, rather than talking about the things that I owe. It's like a shameful thing. You're ashamed. Like, man, like I remember like being in debt. I haven't been in like crazy debt like you hear some people's story, but I just remember my little story of being in debt when I first moved to Texas. I always had a great credit score, right? So when I moved, I mean, for that 1 year straight, I just remember being so depressed. I didn't have nobody. I didn't have no family around, right? Again, I was with a 2-month-old baby. I just didn't know better. I worked in credit when I was in college. I worked in banking over at that time, right? So I saw all the good credit scores and I knew what to do or what I needed to do to get there. But that wasn't my point in my life right now. So I remember I was just applying for credit cards. Like, I needed a credit card to pay my rent. I needed a credit card to pay my utility bills. Like, and I remember I was just applying. They always approved me. Chase, Capital One. That's just when I got like the majority of my credit cards. And I remember just every time I would have to like, every time I got my income tax, I would always just pay everything off. Because one thing about me, I just don't like owing anyone. I don't want to loan money for no one. Personally, and I definitely don't want to loan money for someone that don't know me, right? Because they don't have grace on me as someone close friend or family member would, right? If I was borrowing money from that girlfriend, you know, they would be like, hey, you can pay me back, you know, when you have it. But those credit card people ain't want to hear when you have it. They need their money at the end of the month, at that, on whatever day your money is due. They don't care if you don't have that $40, that $30. So every time I got my income tax, I just always used to just pay. That's where my money went. I just paid everything off. I'm like, I'm gonna start the new year. I don't want to have no money. I don't want to owe nobody money. And I just remember when I finally got out of the stage of just taking up more than I had, it was a relief for me. Like, that becomes so much stress. It's so stressful. It's very depressing. You see people commit suicide because of that, because of these things. So why is this thing so, you know, affecting our life so much, right? I feel like it's because we're not shining light on it. We're not talking about it. So when you're not talking about it, again, if you grew up like me, a lot of times I was told like, hey, everybody has debt. This debt is this debt's gonna be here for until you die, right? You're gonna carry this debt to your grave. So that's how we look at stuff, right? That's how we view student loans. Like, you're never gonna get out of student loan debt. It's always gonna be here. It was not until I started being around people, being around a different environment of people that pay off debt, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you pay off your student loans? Like, y'all pay this off together. Y'all pay off your cars. Y'all pay off your homes, until you start having conversations with people and understanding that it's possible. So we needed to shine a light on our debt. Like, I want us to get an understanding of what we have and to not let it control us. We do not want to be controlled by debt, but we want to have an understanding, because when we have an understanding, we can work towards it. That is the goal, just working towards it. It might not happen this year, but you want to work towards having it completely away from you, right? So you can either consider focusing on the snowball debt method. The snowball debt method is just when you take your lowest balance of your debt, right? So I want you to put all your debt in the spreadsheet. Take your lowest balance that maybe you have 500 on one card, 200 on another, 100 on another. So you're going to focus on the $100 balance that you have, right? But you're still going to be making minimum payments on the 500 and the 200. But for the 100, you're going to put additional money into that to get rid of that $100 debt credit card loan. So once you get rid of that credit card, next you're going to move to the next balance of $200. So you're going to keep doing it until you pay off the $500, and hooray, you are done paying off your credit cards. So that's another way to look at that, which is called the snowball method. You probably heard about this method through Dave Ramsey. But so next, the method we're going to be focusing on is the debt avalanche. The debt avalanche method is when you focus on interest, right? Rather than focusing on the balance, the amount, you're focusing on the interest that account carries, right? So for example, like we said, for the snowball method, you have the $100, the $200, the $500. Let's say the $100 has a what's the interest rate? Let's say 10%. We know credit cards percentage is never that low, but let's say 10%. Then let's say the 500 has 5%, and the $200 has 15% in interest. So with this method, we're focusing on interest. So because the what did we say? The $200 has the 15% interest. We are going to focus on that amount, because we know that with interest you're losing money, right? You're actually putting more than you think, because you're not looking at every time you carry that balance over, your credit card lender is putting interest on that, and that amount is just getting added back onto it. Sometimes you'll figure out that even though you're making a minimum payment on something, it seems like you're not making any payment. It's because of interest. So with this method, we focus on interest, paying the highest interest, and then moving our way down until we get to the lowest interest. So in 2020, we actually paid off a lot of our debt, over $25,000 worth of debt, right? That consists of a card, both cards, my card and Sam's card, mortgages. That consists of cell phone. We don't have no cell phone debt. I'm never ever gonna have a cell phone debt. It was Sam. He bought that cell phone for my birthday, and you know, you put the payment on your, I don't want none of that. Our cell phone, what else we paid off? Our, what's it called, appliances that we bought in the house. I think we paid that off like less than a year. I just didn't, again, I don't like hearing these. I don't want to pay on appliances and TVs and furnitures. I'm not trying to pay on those things, but when we bought the house, they had white appliances, and I could not look at the white appliances. So I was like, can we just get stainless steel? So we ended up getting stainless steel appliances. It wasn't really a need, because the white appliances was really good brands, but this was more like a one, like I want to look at stainless steel rather than white appliances. So we ended up just paying all that off, and it was amazing. We were happy. That was a celebration for us. And when we got done paying those things off, guess what? Dave Ramsey, we took a vacation. I don't care. We still had our student loans, but we took a vacation, because that was an accomplishment for our family. Like the fact that we were able to not use the money, because we could have used that money for our cars. Like we paid about 15,000 with both cars combined, or over 15,000 with both cars combined. Which we could have easily just used that money, right? I like good things. My husband's more chill, but I wouldn't want to buy something, buy a nice bag or whatever that I want to. But we paid that off, and that was accomplishment for us. So we took our vacation. I don't believe in this or that, right? I don't believe in paying debt or investing, or you have to pay debt and you can't eat this, you gotta eat ramen noodles, you can't see people, you can't do nothing. So we have so many debt, right? I would say $200,000 worth of debt. And in the next video, I am going to be breaking down our debt that we have, and I'm going to be showing you why we don't focus so much on the debt aspect no more, but we tie the debt into our net worth when we're doing our net worth calculations, rather than just focusing on this debt. Because if I focus on my student loan debt, y'all, I would just cry. Like, I mean, I'm grateful that I was able to go to school, you know, I was able to get an education, a higher education. But y'all, I don't want to be in two figures. I don't want to be in six figures student loan debt. No, no sir. I don't want to. So rather than just focusing on that I have that student loan debt, or Sam has that student loan debt, we just focus on we want to increase our net worth, and we know with increasing our net worth means that we're also going to be decreasing our liability, our debt, while we're increasing our assets. So that's a more bigger motivation for us, rather than just focusing on that stuff. Because so I shine a light on it and I work towards it, but I focus on my overall net worth, which is going to be coming up on another video. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was useful. Make sure that you leave a comment if you have a comment about anything, or you can visit my website, faithfamily-finance.com. Thank you guys so much. Bye.